What is the exact price of a human reputation in 2026? Is it measured in followers and likes? Or is it measured in the $10 million recently awarded in a courtroom that shook the very foundation of the internet? Imagine waking up to find your face on every screen, labeled a murderer by people who have never met you, based on nothing more than a gut feeling from a stranger 3 states away. While the family of Nancy Guthrie in Tucson, Arizona, counts the agonizing minutes of her disappearance, a digital mob is already hungry for a villain. Today, we are dissecting the terrifying intersection of unsolved mystery and digital execution, when a hunt for a missing woman has turned into a $10 million legal war that changes everything we thought we knew about online justice. We are now entering day 35 of the search for Nancy Guthrie, and the silence echoing from the Arizona desert is becoming a breeding ground for something far more dangerous than elements. Nancy wasn't just a headline. She was a daughter, a friend, and a vital thread in the fabric of her community. When she vanished, the FBI didn't just walk into a missing persons case. They walked into a digital storm. The involvement of federal agents, the analysis of encrypted digital footprints, and the scouring of the desert floor signify that this investigation is moving with a gravity that the public rarely sees. Yet, while the authorities move with methodical precision, the internet has moved with reckless speed, fueled by speculative algorithms that prioritize engagement over the truth. This phenomenon, now known as digital vigilantism, has transformed the tragedy of Nancy Guthrie into a monetized spectacle for social media influencers. On platforms like TikTok, YouTube, and X, the case is no longer about finding a human being. It's about content. While a shared flyer can be a lifeline, the dark side of this trend is the weaponization of suspicion. When thousands of strangers decide someone is guilty because of the way they blinked in an interview or because they have a creepy social media profile, the damage is irreversible. We are seeing innocent individuals being doxxed, their home addresses leaked to thousands of angry detectives, and their lives dismantled by a digital lynch mob that never waits for a trial. And the most chilling part? The people doing the damage often believe, with absolute sincerity, that they are the heroes of the story. To understand how high the stakes have become, we must look at the chilling precedent set in Idaho. During the investigation into horrific Moscow student murders, a TikTok psychic named Ashley Gillard didn't just share theory. She launched a crusade. Her target was Professor Rebecca Schofield, the chair of the history department at the University of Idaho. With zero physical evidence and relying solely on what she called spiritual downloads, Gillard told millions of viewers that the professor had orchestrated the killings. Despite Professor Schofield having an irrefutable alibi, she was hundreds of miles away in another state. The lie took on a life of its own. It proved a terrifying reality. In the age of the viral algorithm, a sensational lie travels 10 times faster than a boring truth. What made Gillard's campaign particularly dangerous was not just the false accusation itself. It was the architecture of belief she constructed around it. She didn't simply point a finger. She built an entire universe of fabricated connections, misinterpreted timelines, and selectively edited clips that made her narrative feel airtight to an audience already hungry for answers. This is the mechanics of modern misinformation. It doesn't need to be true. It only needs to feel emotionally satisfying. And in a case involving murdered students, the emotional hunger for a villain is overwhelming. Gillard fed the hunger, and millions consumed it, never once stopping to ask for a single verifiable fact. The subsequent federal civil trial was a historic turning point. It was a clash between the rule of law and the chaos of the comment section. Professor Schofield's testimony was a raw, heartbreaking look at the psychological trauma of being hunted. She described the PTSD, the constant fear of a stranger showing up at her door, and the feeling that her life's work had been erased by a single hashtag. In a move that legal experts called reckless, Gillard chose to self-represent, doubling down on her claims in a courtroom that demands empirical evidence, not vibes. The jury's verdict was a tectonic shift in the creator economy. They awarded Schofield $10 million, a massive $7.5 million, of which was punitive, meant to send a clear message. The internet is not a lawless wasteland. This $10 million verdict was a warning shot to every armchair detective and true crime creator. It established that freedom of speech is not a license for defamation. Yet, For every Rebecca Schofield who gets her day in court, there's a Dominic Evans who suffers in silence. Dominic, a quiet teacher, found his name dragged through the digital mud when online sleuths decided he looked like a composite sketch in a different case. Even after the FBI cleared him and the real perpetrator was caught, the digital stain remains when you search his name today. The false accusations still appear at the top of the results. This is the invisible cost of digital vigilantism. The fact that on the internet, there is no such thing as a full acquittal. Think about what that means for a moment. Dominic Evans did everything right. He cooperated with authorities. He maintained his innocence. The system worked exactly as it was supposed to. The FBI investigated, cleared him, and moved on. But the internet never moved on. The posts are still there. The comment sections are still there. The YouTube videos with his name in the title are still there. Every time a future employer searches his name, every time a new neighbor Googles him, every time a first date does a quick background check, the lie is still the first result. The system of law gave him justice. The court of the internet gave him a life sentence. While the online world manufactures villains, the FBI operates in an entirely different universe, one built on patience, precision, and physical evidence. And in the Nancy Guthrie case, there are three critical pieces of evidence that the mainstream media has almost completely ignored, yet each one carries the potential to break this case wide open. The first is an Ozark Trail backpack, recovered in a remote desert location miles from Nancy's last confirmed position. Forensic analysts are treating it as a potential crime scene in itself. The contents, the fibers, the soil particles attached to its fabric. Every microscopic detail is being processed in a lab right now. In missing persons cases, a personal item found at a distance from the victim's last location often tells a story of a forced movement. It answers a critical question that investigators need most. Was Nancy taken or did she walk? That backpack may hold the answer. The second is something that sounds almost too cinematic to be real, a localized internet outage. In the precise window when Nancy Guthrie disappeared, digital records show a targeted disruption of internet service in her immediate area. This was not a citywide blackout. This was surgical. To investigators, a localized outage at the exact moment of a disappearance raises one terrifying possibility. Someone knew how to cut the digital eyes in that neighborhood. Surveillance cameras, smart home devices, Ring doorbells, all of them blinded in an instant. The FBI is not treating this as a coincidence. They are treating it as a signature. The third, and perhaps most significant piece of evidence, is a DNA sample recovered from a bite mark. Bite mark evidence, when properly analyzed, is among the most personal forensic evidence that exists. Unlike a fingerprint that can be accidentally transferred, a bite mark requires direct, deliberate physical contact. The FBI has sent the sample to a specialized forensic odontology lab. If a match is found in any criminal database, this single piece of evidence could end the search overnight. But the analysis takes time. Real justice, unlike a TikTok theory, cannot be rushed. These three threads, the backpack, the outage, the DNA, are what the FBI is quietly and methodically pulling. While the internet screams names, investigators are reading evidence. And in the end, it will be the evidence, not the hashtag, that brings Nancy Guthrie home. As we watch the appeals process of the Gillard case and wait for a breakthrough in Tucson, we have to face a hard truth about ourselves. The search for Nancy Guthrie needs our eyes, but it does not need our imagination. We have reached a point where the technology to broadcast has far outpaced our responsibility to the truth. Every single one of us has the power to reach thousands of people from the palm of our hand. That power was once reserved for television networks and newspapers, institutions with editors, lawyers, and accountability. Today, that same power sits in the hands of anyone with a smartphone and an opinion. And with that power comes a responsibility that the creator economy has not yet fully accepted. In a world where anyone can be a judge, jury, and executioner from their living room, we must remember that the truth doesn't need a hashtag to be real. It needs due process. Nancy Guthrie is still missing. Let's focus on the facts, respect the investigation, and stop creating villains out of thin air. Because as we've seen, the cost of a digital lie isn't just a headline. It's $10 million and a life that can never be fully restored.